Happy Wednesday, 23rd of August. Kind of heard a name on Monday. My mom mentioned to me that someone that I went to school with, she got the family lineage messed up, but she got the name right. Someone that I went to school with, was in choir with, played football with, had some classes with, passed away a couple weeks ago, and they had his memorial on Monday. And just to be honest with you, I just looked at him. I'd seen him, Facebook friends. Obviously, we didn't wasn't entirely close, but I mean, I knew of him and I knew what was going on with his life, at least from that perspective. But he looked healthy. I mean, he always was in decent shape, worked out, was a wrestler, football player, outdoorsman, loved the Seahawks type stuff. But, he passed away, and just shortly right after his 37th birthday. And, I didn't really understand. I thought they said it was sudden, and I read the obituary, probably written by one of his parents, because it was very touching and kind of covered his entire life, so it was well written, and just discussed how it was battled with addiction and depression. And I think that may have stemmed from he got a job, finally got into the union, the longshoreman, and had an injury where neck and back pain led to him not being able to work. And just hearing the words addiction and injuries affecting job performance, I can see how that would affect somebody mentally, to the point where your body is what you need in order to work a job for most people. And when that is jeopardized, or it comes to a sudden halt, something that you kind of took for granted, that was your bread and butter, that's something you needed, is now rendered useless and unable to perform and unable to be your main source of income or to provide for yourself. Now you're injured, and I can see how being in pain and being in that circumstance kind of led to an addictive life. And again, I'm only speculating. I'm not going on any facts other than the fact I know that he dealt with addiction, and I know that he dealt with depression, and that he had an injury that led to him not being able to work anymore. So, with that being said, I think that from what I'm saying might have a little validity to it. But, I can see how that could get to somebody. And being someone of the same age, the same class, I can see how man, it's just, when I read it, I kind of sat up in bed this morning and, just really put myself into a deep place, a deep thought. I thought. And I ventured over to my daughter's crib and just looked at her for a few minutes and put my hand on her and felt truly blessed. And that, I felt like it was, I had a responsibility to not allow depression. I've never had depression, but, I can see how people, can feel depressed because of certain situations in life, and allow that to let their life kind of spiral out of control. And I talked with my girlfriend this morning about the situation, and kind of thought about, well, what would I do in a situation like that, where my body was mangled up, and I couldn't work, couldn't stand really, or couldn't lift or do anything like that. And I told her, I said, if I was in that position, I would write. All the time I would write. I would just write. I would blog. I would write books. I would do something, because if your mind is still functioning at a high level, you can still have a living. You can still make a living, have a good job, have a good career, have a good future. And it's all about how you look at it. It's about your perspective, And granted, I didn't go through that situation. I don't fully understand it, but I think and I feel that if I were to go through that kind of a situation myself, that I would say, you know what, that's okay. I'm still here. I still have family and loved ones. I'm going to do what I can with what I have. And what I have left, I can still use my hands. And I still have the ability to express myself through word. I can type. I'm going to write until I pass out every day. I'm just going to write, create, and I'm going to do what I can. I'm not going to allow my physical disability to define who I am. I'm not going to allow that to be me. And so that's what I would do. I'm not saying that other people are weaker or anything like that. I'm saying that if I were to be dealt a hand like that, I would not let it define me. I would persevere. I would get over it. You can't change it. I would do what I can I would go back to school too. I would do what I can to strengthen what I have left. If I didn't have full function of my arms and hands, they have these computer programs like I think Dragon, where you can dictate with your voice, and I would master that. Look at astrophysicist Stephen Hawking. Guy, he went to college, was brilliant in science, stricken with MS, unable to speak, unable to move anything. The only thing he controls is his computer with his eyes. And that's how he types. And he still manages to be relevant and contributing to society and the world of science and all that. So he didn't allow his diagnosis to limit him or define who he is as a person. So it just makes me really realize that life is, it's short. It's tomorrow is not guaranteed. It's not going to happen. The sun doesn't always rise, for some people. And if it does for you, feel blessed. Feel that you've been given a chance to live another day, to make the best of any circumstance or situation that you can, and don't take it for granted. If you wake up in the morning and the sun's up, there are people out there that are praying and begging to have a day like that for either themselves or someone else. When you think about things, put it into perspective. There are people out there in worse situations that would give everything that they have to enjoy waking up feeling the way that you do. And you need to really cherish that and to really let that soak in, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And if you're a healthy young person, or if you're able to walk, if you're able to talk, if you're able to touch and feel and see and taste, any of that, there are people out there that don't have those abilities that would love to change, positions with you, even just for a day. And it's, it makes me, after reading that about my former classmate, it made me realize that I really need to be thankful for what I have. And, it's not as if I don't do that already, but at the same time, it's just reading something like that and hearing about someone's life in that regard. I don't think he didn't have any kids. But the fact is, I've been blessed with a child, a beautiful daughter, smart, intelligent, loving, full of life, laughter, and just everybody seems to like her. And, she's a wonderful kid. I love her to death. She is my light. She's my life. And that I have that, and a lot of people don't. And people, spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get pregnant, or to try these scientific methods to get pregnant and to have a family. And I was blessed with one, just simply with what I have. And you need to feel blessed. If that's you, you need to understand that what you have is special and that it can be taken away. And not just look at that in a negative perspective or to feel, to look at it in a negative light, but to look at it in a positive way, to be thankful and blessed about what you truly have. And I do. And he will be missed. Anytime I saw pictures of him, he was always smiling, and he was a jokester from what I remember in junior high and high school. Went to school with him since 7th grade for like 5 or 6 years. And, he and I were, we got along with each other, classes and, athletics and other functions like that. But I mean, it wasn't like a close bond. I mean, I'm not friends with many people I went to high school with other than on social media and Facebook. I've changed so much over the years that a lot of people just don't really understand who I've become, and that's okay. That's the case for a lot of people. People change. High school is very rarely, the case where whoever in high school is going to be the same person 20 years, 10 years down the road. People change, and so from what I remember him being, the kind of jokester, funny guy, got along with most people, could have changed and turned in a different direction, and it appears to have that it was the case, where addiction gets a hold of people, and it turns people into these things, into these lifeless forms that people don't recognize, or that they look at them and like they look like that person, but it's not them. And addiction itself, and the medical profession labels it as a disease, and I don't support that. I believe that no one is born without being introduced to it in the womb. No one's born an addict. People have addictive personalities, but ultimately it is their choice to introduce that drug or chemical into their body. Okay, and then when they do, it creates a chemical response in the brain, and pretty soon it becomes it expects it, and so it becomes a habit, and they do it over and over and over and over again, and pretty soon that's just who they are, and they do anything they can to get that, and so then it becomes a disease. I don't think that addiction is a disease from the get-go. I don't think people are have diseases of a chemical dependency from the womb. I believe that it's by choice, and I think that you have a choice to do something. I've seen cocaine before, never done it. I've never seen meth before. Maybe I have, I don't know. And a lot of other drugs, just mushrooms, acid, and all that other stuff, PCP. Never really seen it, never done it, never really had an interest to, because it scares me. That kind of stuff is just, I know who I am, and I know that, I go through phases where it's like, I will, I'll eat a certain chip for like 2 months, and then I'll get, won't eat it for like a year, or I'll eat, or drink a certain kind of a beer for a little while, and then I just won't buy anything for a while, and this is the way that I am. I go through phases, and so introducing a drug into that sort of, I guess, the way that I am, I believe that my family, we have addictive personalities. I'm the only person in my family that doesn't use tobacco products, whether it's chew or cigarettes or cigars or whatever, and I just don't do that stuff, but other people do. And I know that with that sort of history, that I shouldn't mess with it, and so I don't. But anyway, the world lost a good person. He was a good guy, from what I remember. And people do change over the years. I don't know the kind of person he did become eventually, but he had a lot of people that really cared about him. And it's just really sad to see somebody so young, and that you remember them so full of life, that that it just comes to an end and it's gone. And so, and it was a very well written obituary. I believe like I said, one of his parents probably wrote it, but it was very well written. It gave you a sense of exactly the kind of person he was, gave you sort of a historical overview of his life, gave you a better understanding about who he was, and it was very well written. But it's just, tomorrow is not guaranteed, and if you wake up today and the sun, you see the sun, you see light outside, be thankful. Other people would gladly change places with you, and they would take your day that you don't want to do. You don't want to go to work, you don't want to do certain things, you don't want to do this or that. People would love to do that for you. They would love for you to sit in that hospital bed. They would love for you to feel that pain that they have. They would love for you to not know what it's like to feel pain because they're paralyzed, or to trade places with you. They would do it in a heartbeat. And if you were to understand what they're going through and how they're feeling, you would be more thankful about what you have and the things that you were blessed with. And so, rest in peace, Jeff. I just always remembered his smile, man. That's the thing I remember about him. And he was a funny guy. He never had anything between he and I that was negative. It was all just, we joked once in a while. We played sports together. We had classes together. But I just remembered him smiling, and it's sad to see a life cut so short because of just addiction and depression. So, but anyway, I'll end this on a high note, on a good note. Looking forward to this weekend. Have my daughter all to myself for the first time for an entire weekend anyway, and also to give my fiance a weekend to herself, her to go out and do her thing, because she deserves it. She works hard. The kid's clinging and needs attention, and she's gravitates towards mom, and so that puts a lot of pressure on her. So whatever I can do to help out is what I need to do, and she deserves to go on a little vacation for a couple days and go to the sun and hang out with her friends. So anyway, have a great Wednesday, everybody. Live today as if you understand what the blessing it truly is, and that it can be taken away, and that other people would gladly change places, trade places with you. So if you can hear this, if you can see this, and if you can feel what I'm saying and understand what I'm saying, be thankful that you have what you have, because there are people out there who don't, and who can't, and that will never understand the things that you can do, and the abilities that you have. So be thankful for being the person that you are today, and that that you were made the way that you are, and that you have to make the most out of it. And if something's taken away from you, you have to learn how to adapt. You have to learn how to adapt. If your ability to work physically is taken away, strengthen your mind. That's why I think an education is a good thing. If all you do is work and your ability to work is gone, you can't do anything else. You have to strengthen your mind. You have to be able to find a way to be competitive, and to be, to find purpose in the world. And and if it was only through physical means, and that's taken away from you, I feel bad for people like that. But for me, if I'm both physical and I'm also very vocal, and I can, very wordy. As you can see, I'm wordy because this video is almost 20 minutes long. But if I had one of those taken away from me, I would strengthen the other side and use that much more than I did before. I would take advantage of that, and I would not allow that to define my life. So Jeff, rest in peace. Hope you're in a better place. I hope that you're happy. Keep smiling, and I look forward to seeing you again another day. Have a good day.